Hello guys, today we're going to talk about the last Goosebumps episode, Deep Trouble Part 2. This episode aired on November 16th, 1998, same day. It had a 6.5 out of 10 out of IMDb with about 100-ish user votes. And if you want to know about the actors and the director, I suggest watching Part 1. Okay. Alright, now, the thing about this episode, Part 2 at least, there are some, or maybe a little bit in part one, like I said in the previous video. I forgot how episode one ends and where part one ends and where part two begins. But I will say this: the special effects in part two, at least, or late part one, part two, it's a mixed bag. Because on one hand, towards the end of the episode, there's some practical effects that are fucking awesome, in all honesty. I mean, sure, you could argue, like, technicals or whatever, like, where the line of makeup ends and begins. Sure, fair enough. But in terms of design and quality and effort, they're pretty fucking awesome. However, there are some CGI before that, and while it just looks fake. You know, I give them credit. They kind of do it in the vibe of, like, old school horror movies like Tarantula or something like that. But the thing about back then, those were the early films when they did it. And when they did it, it was the first time, and there was more of a genuineness to it. There was more like, we're trying our absolute fucking best here. Now, I'm not saying they're trying their best here, but at this point, we've seen better stuff, and at this point, if it doesn't look good, don't show it, even if it was in the book. And the thing is that it's kind of unnecessary, because you could have had the creatures with the practical effects be the ones, not those other ones, and just kind of fake. Now, in terms of, like, more technicals, more special effects used in this one. Acting's pretty solid. Cinematography, I'll give it a bit more in this one, just because they have a lot more shit going on. Score, maybe a touch better, because they start being a little bit more creative with it in this one. But overall, kind of similar to part two. Part one just kind of builds everything up a bit, with a bit of an action during it to kind of tie things up a bit, kind of keep things interesting, but Part two is really what makes the overall thing a bit better, really. Now, as for the book, now they made two books, Deep Trouble and Deep Trouble 2. Now, at first I thought that was based on Deep Trouble 1, but when I read trivia on IMDb, it said it was based on 58, which was a sequel. So I'm a little bit confused, because I know in one storyline, a mermaid was the subject of the story. And so I'm a little bit confused on that. Please correct me in the comments. I'm going to take a wild stab and say this is the first Deep Trouble. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to take a stab at that. But yeah, overall, the episode really is saved by its practical effects more than anything, which I actually enjoy immensely. And the acting's pretty solid, actually. I don't mind the acting one bit. It's pretty enjoyable, actually. As for the writing itself, like, sure, there's a few lines of dialogue that kind of feels a little cliche-y, but overall, it's just, it's a fine two-parter. I think the biggest problem was that it just didn't really go above and beyond, like something like The Ghost Next Door. Because it's one thing to have a lot of special effects and all that stuff, but nothing really compares to something like Ghost Next Door, A Haunted Mask, or Night in a Terror Tower. When you interject, like, meaningful messages in stories, like something like The Haunted Mask and The Symbol of Love kind of deal, I mean, it's kind of hard to go back and do something like this. And they do this in Goosebumps quite a bit. And sure, they can get away with it some episodes, but other episodes, it really, really hurts them. And I feel like it just hurts this one a bit. Now, at the heart, it's a sci-fi action adventure story, so you can make those excellent too, with a little bit of few elements of horror, but you gotta know your limitations, and you gotta figure out like what will look good and what won't. And I don't think they really did this. And I hate saying this about William Frick because he directed this two-parter. Now, granted, his works haven't. Yeah, he's directed a few snips, but for the most part, he's directed a lot of great Goosebumps episodes, a lot of the notable ones. But I'm getting too far overall with Goosebumps. As I'm just gonna say, pass or skip on these episodes on Deep Trouble. I say it's kind of a similar story to Cry of the Cat, but in all honesty, I think this two-part is a bit better than Cry of the Cat because, unlike Cry of the Cat, the tone in this one is a good tone, and it fits the story well. So I see this as a bit better than Cry of the Cat, so I'll give this more of a pass to watch, but bear in mind, it is not the best two-parter you're going to watch. And for people who are looking for the high-quality Goosebumps episodes, there's elements, but this isn't 100%. But as it is, it's a two-parter, and I've seen anthology shows much more mature than Goosebumps end on much lower notes than Deep Trouble, in all honesty. But yeah, that's what I'd say about Deep Trouble. Check it out if you love Goosebumps. If you're just looking for the good stuff, you may not like it, but if you're die hard, it's not the worst. And if you really want your Goosebumps fix, this is reasonable. This two-part is reasonable enough. But yeah, thanks for watching this, guys. Thanks for watching this whole series. Tune in tomorrow. I'll talk about my overall summary of the series. We'll go into very great detail on this series as a whole, and I'll have my deep personal opinions on the series overall as well. Some of you may be tempted if you're watching, like, if you're going, like, I'll get into that temptation in the overall video, but thanks for watching all these videos, guys. I understand if you guys skipped around through some episodes, you probably only want to watch the episodes you're more intrigued about than others, and that's fine. But I worked quite hard on this, and I'm really appreciative of you guys showing interest in these. Because I'll get more into those details in the overall video. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and yeah, have a good day.